Invade your sinuses, causing hay fever
You're
miseries.
in a puppy
Don't
chow.
wish you could be in sunny, dry Arizona. Just remember, this things like send your sinuses to Arizona.
May 21st, 1991, University of Chicago, Divinity School. It is a spring morning and the annual faculty book sale has begun. Ioan Petru Culianu, disciple of renowned historian of religion Mircea Eliade, ends his class on Fundamentals of Comparative Religion with the following sentence: "Whoever finds the interpretation of these texts will not experience death." After this, Professor Culianu goes to chat with his students at the book sale. As he leaves, Culianu walks to the cafeteria next to Swift Hall, talks to some students and goes up to the third floor, where his office is.
Come in.
Hi, Gwen.
Hello.
He then decides to go to the bathroom. At the end of the corridor, in his office, one of his secretaries hears a dry bang and asks her colleagues,
What the
"Did
heck?
you hear that?"
What?
To which another replies, "Car backfiring." No, it sounded like a firecracker, but louder. A few seconds earlier, Culianu opened one of the stalls and sat down on the toilet. In the adjoining stall, an individual climbed over the wall that separates them and shot the teacher in the head, killing him instantly.
By the way, if anyone here is in advertising or marketing, kill yourself.
November the 21st, 1984, 6.5 years earlier. Ioan Petru Culianu published the book Eros and Magic in the Renaissance, in which he presented a thesis that he had been developing for 14 years. He points out the coincidence of his book's first edition with the year that gives the title to George Orwell's most famous book. Among the theses included in the book, he posits that the current techniques of mind control, materialized in the form of publicity, political propaganda or mass manipulation, comes from an unexpected source, the magic of late antiquity, whose origin is found in the philosophy of Empedocles and Plato. Culianu reveals the existence of a magical heretic system that mixes classical Greek philosophy with Katha thought, medieval troubadours, Islamic Sufism and Neoplatonism, which led to a set of erotic magic practices during the Italian Renaissance and which, in turn, became the germ of psychoanalysis and the subsequent mind control techniques of the modern era. In his book, Culianu makes a complete anthology of Western magic, discovering the great trick that lies behind the control of both individuals and masses, drawing the curtains to show us the gears of the demiurge so that we understand how, through the handling of desire, it is possible to modify our behavior at will. But could an academic book about Renaissance magic be enough provocation to cause his death? In his book, Eros, Magic and the Death of Professor Culianu, Ted Anton outlines all the possible theories around his death, highlighting a political assassination above the rest, giving Culianu's intense journalistic and literary activity against the regime that devastated his native country for more than a quarter of a century. Culianu was among the first intellectuals to denounce that the Timisoara uprising, which led to the fall of Nicolae Ceausescu, was being co-opted by government forces that used it for their own political purposes. Although we will never know for sure the reasons and culprits of Culianu's murder, either by chance or by luck, a few days ago we were direct witnesses to the continuation of this story, uncovering a second part that captivated us. Let's go back to the day of Professor Culianu's murder. According to Ted Anton in the aforementioned book, the last known phone call the professor made was to a number in Colombia. Here, more or less, the official story ends, and this is where, by magic, we come in.
A few weeks ago, with the idea of preparing a script for a documentary on the influence of magic in advertising, I was in my studio reading Culianu's book. Upon finishing it, I started to research the professor's work, which, despite its immense importance, has fallen into strange and undeserved oblivion. Browsing the academic website academia.edu, I found an essay that caught my attention. It was entitled The Hounds of Actaeon, and in its prologue it promised to be an update of Culianu's thesis, extending his theory into the era after the professor's death and engaging in more recent fields such as cybernetics, mass manipulation in politics, media warfare, and the internet as the ultimate control weapon, right down to the current disinformation campaigns of Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Excited with such a discovery, I decided to contact his author, a certain Mauricio Loza, of whom it is known, an essay criticizing transhumanism and an unpublished translation of the Titanic Illuminatus trilogy by Robert Anton Wilson and Robert Shea. I let him know that I am working on a documentary on the subject and that I will be very interested in reading his book. After a few days, Mauricio answers my message, sending me with great kindness an unpublished copy of the book in Spanish, a voluminous manuscript of almost 600 pages. While I avidly read the essay, Mauricio and I begin exchanging emails in which we talk more in depth about the subject. In them, I discover a fact that gives me pause. Mauricio is Colombian. Immediately, the last call from Professor Culianu to Colombia comes to my mind. Are they somehow connected? Or is it a simple Jungian synchronicity? Can the terms young and simple coexist in the same sentence? I can't help thinking about the beautiful poetic connection between the end of one and the beginning of the other. A synchronicity that made me think I was on the right track, something I confirmed when I finished the book. I can say that The Hounds of Actaeon is a worthy continuation of the work of Joan Petru Culianu. For this reason, I proposed him to be the mentor and advisor of this documentary, to which he agreed without a second's hesitation, something for which I cannot be more grateful. The Hounds of Actaeon is a complete anthology of Western magic and its enormous impact on our times. In it, Mauricio makes Culianu's thesis his own and continues them with an erudition within the reach of a few. He takes up the professor's theory about the influence of Renaissance magic in the modern era, and he extends it, elaborating the story of those followers of erotic magic and their effective methods of control on individuals and human groups. From Giordano Bruno and Anton Mesmer to Gustave Le Bon, from Sigmund Freud and Wilhelm Reit's Guy Debord and Psychogeography, Edouard Bernays and Advertising, and Norbert Wiener and Cybernetics. But the book doesn't end there. It goes into the internet era, breaking down with great sagacity how the web has become the latest substrate for magic and, therefore, where we are once again being manipulated, through Eros, which is to say, through desire. The book was published in English by Academica Press in June 2020. Its Spanish version, still unpublished, is finished. You can take a look at the introduction and the prelude of the work in the address in the video description. Since I read The Hounds of Actaeon, I felt the imperative to divulge this unique work. My motivation to make this documentary responds to an unprecedented urgency and enthusiasm. Due to its importance for our historical moment, we both believe that it is necessary to turn this thesis into a documentary in order for it to reach the general public. If you are a sympathizer of the hermeticism of any variant of magic or of occult philosophy in general, you will be interested in this book, as well as the documentary that we will make in its wake. We will call it Eros Unchained, the relationship between erotic magic and mental manipulation. Given the size that this is taking, we believe that it will take a few months to come to light. But to make your wait more enjoyable, we will be publishing monthly updates in which you will learn some of the keys that will make it up. Thank you all. See you soon.
Yes, we'll miss that stranger. But you know life will never be dull in our town again. By the way, how are things in your town?